A limited number of humanitarian aid trucks have started to enter Gaza as the delicate ceasefire continues to hold. But the delays in the return of Israeli hostage remains by Hamas has meant that the major crossing at Rafah remains closed. The war has left the majority of people in Gaza without food, water, fuel, and shelter. And with the winter months fast approaching, the need for urgent care is growing. Nabil Ali is the Chief Operating Officer of the IRDF, the International Development and Relief Fund. Foundation. He's joining us in studio. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Right now, you have 17 members on the ground in Gaza. What are you hearing from them in terms of what people right now are experiencing?
I mean, the situation in Gaza, honestly, is almost indescribable, right? It's almost post-apocalyptic. When you look at how tough the situation is on the ground, there's barely any food for anyone to eat. In August, it was reported that over 500,000 people were in the highest level of food insecurity, which is catastrophic. Essentially, they're left to die from starvation. There are over 170,000 people in need of medical support services, over 11,000 cancer patients that need support. There's a need of clean drinking water. All of the basic essentials in life aren't being met right now in Gaza. The trucks that were supposed to be brought into Gaza since the announcement of the ceasefire haven't been coming into the Gaza Strip, and the needs continue to mount. And what we're looking at is nearly an entire population here that's at risk of either starving and dying to death or dying for other reasons that can truly be prevented.
Of the aid that was allowed through, and we understand that it was very limited in terms of food and medical, what wasn't involved? You hear a lot of different stories. So, you know, protein mixes were not allowed in. I understand flour was, but water wasn't.
That's right.
And anesthetic surgery. We hear stories from doctors saying surgeries were being done without anesthetic.
That's right. Essentially, so what's really been brought in is barely just food. That's more food that's canned, right? So food that have a lot of preservatives in it. So nothing that's been fresh food hasn't been brought in. It's a lot of these canned foods that have been brought into the Gaza Strip, not the medical support that's needed. So none of the medication that's needed on the ground have been brought in, no medical equipment. Doctors need things like x-rays and CT scan machines. None of that has been brought into Gaza. These hospitals don't have any power anyway to be operating. Not enough fuel is being brought in. So this just continues to compound. And what they actually need is some of the basics of clean drinking water and access to machinery to actually ensure that we get access to clean drinking water. Machinery to remove all the rubble that's across the Gaza Strip right now, because that continues to prevent our ability to provide access to food and support in the north of the Gaza Strip, which is another major issue happening right now. So all of the different pillars of humanitarian support are in need, and the stuff that is getting through is extremely limited.
Well, this is what I wanted to ask you, but when you say limited, I don't know what that means. Like, what is coming into the country right now?
So it's barely any food. So you're looking at just preserved food in boxes, that's coming in. Those are the non-perishable foods. That's one of the key things that are being brought in, and that's pretty much what's left. You're looking at basic medication that's been brought in over the last little while, but that's not enough to support the different hospitals. There's over 30 hospitals in Gaza, and only 13 of them are operational at this moment. And of those 13, they're in need of medication, they're in need of all of this various support to kind of keep operating, and they don't have any of that right now. And that's what they're looking for. So they're looking for that to come in. And all of that sits on the other side of the border at Rafah. It sits at Al Arish, it sits at Rafah, and it's just completely being blocked. Now that's what makes this genocide so intentional. You're looking at so much need on the other end. You're looking at over 1 million people that are in need of support, and none of that aid is being brought in right now.
So from your team that's on the ground in Gaza right now, what kind of words are they using to describe what they are seeing as they try to help?
Well, number one, that what they're seeing is an intentional genocide happening on them and their people. They're looking at children that have no parents, no siblings, no one standing on their own looking for food, and are going from door to door to door at various different camps trying to get food aid, and there's not enough. When organizations try to do food distributions, and that being extremely limited, there's not enough food for these children to take home to eat, right? And they don't even have a home to go back to. There's patients that are sitting at hospitals that don't have the support that they're looking for right there. There's access to clean drinking water that's limited, and then when you do a distribution, there's only so much water that you can give out to the communities in need. So the issues are compounding. The other major issue right now is the aid that is getting into the Gaza Strip is not making its way to the north of Gaza.
Well, this is what I was going to ask. Yeah. Where are the centers where it's being distributed, and where can't it reach?
So essentially right now there's barely any aid that's made its way into the north of Gaza City. So since the initial part of the ceasefire that's gone in now for the last few days, our teams has reported that not any of that aid has made it into the Gaza City. So that's in the north of Gaza.
And is that just Because there's no roads?
There's blockades that are there. There's no roads and there's no access to make its way up there. And there's not even enough food to kind of make its way up through Gaza. And that's another major issue. Some of the distributions are happening in the areas of Dar al-Balah and some of the middle areas of Gaza Strip and some parts of Rafah and Khan Yunis. Those are some of the areas that are receiving some support, but you're looking at extremely large populations that are there. And then there's over 800,000 people that are in the north of Gaza City that are not getting anything at all. And what was committed was 600 trucks a day. And that's not even enough, right? And now you're looking at only a fraction of that's made it in. Since the announcement of the ceasefire till now, there were supposed to be 2,400 trucks that should have made its way into Gaza Strip. We haven't even reached 300 trucks, right? So there's a lot of blockade. The blockade still continues. Famine is still on the rise, and you're looking at all these needs. You need patients to make their way out of Gaza to get the services that they need, and they haven't been allowed out. So the issues just continue to compound, and it's too hard to describe.
Nabil, I appreciate you coming in, sharing with our audience what your team members are experiencing on the ground in Gaza as they wait for the remainder of aid trucks to make it across. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.